Otakuology Podcast with Otaku Mike Engine Graves.
Hey guys, what's up? Jin here with the Otakuology Podcast again, and as always, with my amazing co-host and bromance lover, Otaku Mike.
Oh man, I didn't know we were in a bromance. Come on now.
The wife always jokes about it.
I mean, yeah, it's true. She does, you know.
Some people tell me, they go, "Oh, what's one of your most meaningful relationships right now?" I go, "It's my best friend, Mike." And they're like, I was talking about a girl. I went, "He's kind of like my girl. He's got my back all the time." They're like, "What?" I went, "Oh, yeah." I said, "If me and Mike ever got into drag," I said, "it'd be bad." I'd be like, "Hold my purse." He'd be like, "Hell yeah, let me get into this too."
We're BFS, best fucking friends.
I know, for life.
We're in a
BFFFL.
We're in a heterosexual relationship.
This is true.
Yeah, just saying.
So
there's the dog. There's the dog.
That is a dog.
That's a dog.
Maybe it's a dog. I don't know. It kind of looks like a giant rat sometimes.
Probably, you know.
Do you ever because I know that you have a bunch of dogs too. Do they ever annoy you to the point where they start developing like a secondary name?
Yeah. All right, we're back, people.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I had to tell my daughter good night.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a school night or school day.
Right.
So there's that, you know.
Go listen to our crap. What was the name of that podcast episode that we did?
Was it the Parents vs. Otaku podcast?
No, the other one.
Which one?
The Get to Know Us one.
Like episode 1 and 2?
No, like episode 1 of the one that we talked about.
The one where we just bullshit for an hour?
Yeah, that one.
I mean, I guess it's not really a funny podcast.
No, but people get to know us better. If you'd like to know more about Mike, you should go hear his funny story on there.
Anyways, what are we talking about tonight?
So
Jen?
Tonight we are talking about Goblin Slayer. This is a really good read. This is one I think that is actually why one of the volumes that me and Mike connected a lot on. And so, I mean, and it's surrounded around a lot of controversy. So
that is true. There is a bunch of controversy around this manga and the anime. I'm curious to know, because if we have any like light novel listeners, I could probably ask like Lion. Lion will probably know, but
true.
Like because he reads light novels. Like, did the light novel have as much controversy as the other two?
That's true.
I'm curious to know, because it's always the manga and the anime for this series.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
But just forewarn, we will be talking about some pretty heavy subjects in this particular manga. Right. And there's a parental advisory for a reason on this manga.
Right.
Yeah.
So if anybody has problem with rape or I think that's the only thing.
Rape, sexual assault.
Yeah. If you have a problem with that, then this is probably not the podcast you want to listen to. Or not the podcast, but the episode you want to listen to. Because there's a lot of that in Goblin Slayer.
We talked about potential rape on our last podcast.
That's true, but disclaimer, throw that up there.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
We will be getting into some
touchy subjects.
So
anyway, again, we're covering Goblin Slayer, just the regular series, none of the side ones.
Thank God.
The art is by Kousuke Kurose. The original story is by Kumo Kagyu, and the character design is by Noboru Kanatuki.
I guess that's how you say it.
I still remember when we talked about how to say that guy's last name, and it was like,
I mean, I'm white and I'm from Texas. I
how,
butcher.
how would you say Noboru Kanatuki in a southern accent?
I butcher my own language, which is English. Let me try it. Let me try it out. Noboru Kata Tuki.
Tuki.
Did I nail that properly? Did I nail that right? Yeah.
Yeah, you almost sounded like the bird
Noboru
off.
Kata Tuki.
You almost sound like the bird off of George of the Jungle. Tuki. So we are covering this one. I'm going to read the back synopsis for you guys real quick. That way you get a little bit, and then me and Mike will jump into it. So it says, a young priestess joins her first adventuring party, but almost immediately encounters most unspeakable horrors. Rescued by an enigmatic
I can't talk.
Yeah, enigmatic. Whatever. Whatever. I know how to say the word. Damn it. Watch. We're gonna talk about this later on. I'm gonna be like, and you're gonna be like, you said that word perfectly. Why couldn't you say it on the podcast?
Is it I can't say that. Enigmatic. I can't say. I'm from Texas.
Enigmatic. Warrior called Goblin Slayer. She partners with her savior on his mission to exterminate all goblins by any means necessary. When rumors of Goblin Slayer's feats begin circulating, there's no telling who might come calling next. Goblin Slayer.
Yeah, let's get into this one.
Yeah. So the first part that I like is it for any D&D nerds out there is actually on the back of the book on the bottom. It actually says he does not let anyone roll the dice. So
yeah,
that is something I feel like I really love about this being you don't have to roll the dice or whatever. You're just that good.
I like the back of the back cover as well because it has like these like washed out goblins on the back of it.
Yeah, and I think they're from different panels and stuff too.
I think so.
Because I don't think they're all in there together.
And then on the front we have Goblin Slayer, and then our other main character.
Yeah. So we get some really nice color pages, which I love. I love these color pages.
Most definitely, they look really nice.
Just because the rest of the manga in black and white gives it that manga feel, that regular anime look. But I think these color pages really give it like a nice like American comic feel to it, just because of how it looks laid out.
I would love to see like a colored version of this manga.
Oh my god. How dark would that be, though?
Oh, that would be so fucking dark.
You'd be sitting there and be like, oh, in this last one, I recognized that there was a goblin's face in it. Now I can't even tell if there's one in the dark or not.
Well, I mean, like, they did those nice full-colored High School of the Dead manga.
That's true.
Why can't we get...
That's true. I think I would like a nice like anime scroll or whatever of like just Goblin Slayer standing there, but
yeah,
I don't know if that can be a reality.
There's a Goblin Slayer figure that I want to get eventually, and he looks
like
pretty cool.
Android?
No, it's like just a static like figure statue type of thing.
Oh, okay.
It's nothing. It's nothing too. I think it's like a $40 figure. It's like one of those prize figures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing expensive.
That's cool.
Yeah. But anyways.
So we start, as always, how most good stories start, in a tavern or at the Adventurers Guild.
Yes.
And this is where our young priestess is going to start her journey and try and do a mission and level up and everything with a couple other, hopefully, like-minded people.
Well, I think it's funny that we see. The first person we see is the tavern girl. Um, None of these characters actually have names. Uh, but one thing I
Right.
think is cool is like they have like a ranking system at the beginning, and
That's true.
she's talking about her ranking system, and the the
It's on the
priest
next page.
the priestess starts out as rank 10, which is a porcelain
Hmm.
rank, and it goes up to platinum rank. And I
Yeah.
like it like that. She specifically says, um, the girl at the tavern. She says that we normally don't see gold and silver or platinum
Yeah. Gold
adventurers
and
around
platinum.
here. Yeah,
Hmm.
gold and platinum. Sorry, adventurers around here. And I think it's cool. Like they give them like a set of dog tags,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Yeah, if you die, this is how we identify you."
Right. I mean, I love it. I mean, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah. Let's see. So ranks: porcelain, obsidian, steel, sapphire, emerald, ruby, bronze, silver, gold, platinum.
yeah. And we
Which
have
I really like this. This is another thing for D&D players. If anybody plays 5e, on the second page that we're sitting there, the tavern girl hands her an adventurer sheet, and it's right on the money for being the
it's
D&D 5e sheet.
yeah, it's a character sheet for Dungeons and
Yeah,
Dragons.
yeah. I mean, I think that's so funny, and a lot of people don't notice it unless they're really looking at it.
I didn't notice it until
Until I pointed it out.
it was a couple volumes in.
You're like, what?
It was like I think like 4 or 5 volumes in. I think maybe.
Yeah, because I remember bringing it up to you, and you're like, "No,
I
that's
was like,
not it." And
no.
you're like, "Hold on, let me pull this off the shelf." And you're like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
All right. So she tells her that there's a couple cleaner jobs.
Hmm.
They can basically go for the sewers and try hunting giant rats, um, or basically some of the lesser stuff like the goblins and stuff like that. Because
Well,
you can't really take too many big quests at this point.
when she goes to look over at the board, the adventure quest board thing, she noticed she these other adventurers show up. They're like in a group. They're a fellowship, one might say, and they ask her if she wants to join them because they need a healer. And one thing I think is interesting is they go to sign up for the quest, and the tavern girl dissuades them to try to not do the goblin quest.
Hmm.
Yeah, and she's like with her body language, she's like, "Yeah, I don't think you want to do that. Maybe somebody will come by and help you." And they're like, "Ah, no, we got this. We can kill these goblins. They're easy to kill."
Right?
Yeah, which I think is funny for what happens within like the next couple of pages.
Yeah, which here's a little thing just to give people an insight. So goblins says goblins have the size, strength, and intelligence of a human child. They see well in the dark, but individually are the weakest type of monster. So they form packs, threatening people, attacking villages, kidnapping maidens, and so on.
Yeah,
So we do kind of get this. We have a level of what to compare that to the rest of people.
that is true. That
Which
is
I
true.
mean, that's kind of the bad thing. It seems like with most of the book as you read it, is they're very organized.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Which then also begs to differ. If you have like a goblin chieftain, what is their intelligence level? Because they always make it out to be that they're not like quite a wizard, but they're like
Are you talking about like the shaman, the goblin shaman thing?
no, like a champion, I guess.
Oh,
Like the person that like leads the goblins or whatever.
I don't know. I don't
It
know.
They almost make it seem like they do have all this stuff like a child, but then
Yeah,
when you get to those ones, it almost seems like it's even higher than like a regular human being, like a regular
yeah,
adult.
maybe. I don't know. I'm not for sure.
Yeah. So we get to meet our party though,
Yeah, we do.
which did we ever figure out what the guy was? Because I know we talked about this a little bit
No,
before.
No, he's really not important.
He's like a fighter.
He's like a fighter or something. They don't call him fighter; they call him something else.
Yeah,
Because
I think
one thing you'll learn is that nobody has an actual name
right,
in this series. Well, they do have names. They just go by like Goblin Slayer is Goblin Slayer,
right,
and
or Orc Blot
or
or
Orc Blog or
yeah,
Beard Cutter,
hmm
and then the priestess is just like priestess, and then you have like elf and dwarf and
right,
lizard man. Cowgirl is one of them.
right,
So yeah, nobody has an actual like individual name. They're all just
right.
named after their class or whatever they do,
Yeah, or
which
what
is
they are.
which is weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, which I wonder if they did that to kind of give you that disconnect of not getting attached to the characters, but getting attached to how it is.
Maybe, but I mean, like later on, you get kind of attached to the party members.
Right? And you're like, I don't know what his name is.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get into this. What's about to happen? So we get our party gets to the
Right.
opening of this cave, and the priestess is like, I don't know if we should do
Oh,
this. Maybe
so
we should get prepared.
our party, real quick, is a monk. I, I don't know what the dude is. Would you say he's a fighter? Maybe
He's a fighter, maybe. I don't
he's a
know.
fighter, and then we have a monk and a monk that uses martial arts, a wizard, and then our priestess.
Yeah, and so they're at the cave, and the priestess is like, "Look, I don't know if we should do this." She's having second thoughts, and they're like, "No, don't worry about it. We got this. We got this. It's all good in the hood." So they go into this cave. They're walking around, trying to find these goblins, and they come upon like this sign. It's like this weird looking sign, and go into they're going into the cave, and the wizard like kind of gets on priestess for a little bit, and she's like, like, you gotta keep up, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and then the goblins attack. The goblins take out the wizard. They break her staff so she can't use her magic. They stab her in the gut. The priestess is freaking this shit out as all these goblins are attacking them. They're trying to survive.
Right.
Yeah, and I can't remember if the other two know that the goblins are there. Do you remember that?
If what?
If the other two party members know if the goblins are there.
Oh no, the goblins snuck up behind the party, and they knew that they had
That's
kind of
what,
gotten behind.
that's what it was. Yeah,
Hmm.
and so the priestess is trying to heal the wizard, and she's kind of having really no luck uh, at trying to heal because she keeps getting interrupted. The fighter tries to fend off the the goblins, but he's kind of swinging his sword wildly. Not really
Which
having
can I
any
point
luck.
this out real quick?
What?
So the fighter, if you look at the armor and stuff he's wearing, he looks like the main character off of uh Is It Wrong to Pick a Girl Up in a Dungeon?
Oh, does he?
Yeah, so I wonder if that was supposed to be like a I don't want to say like a threat, but if it's like a hey, your
Like
character's not better than ours kind of situation.
maybe. Who knows? And then this is where we get the scene to where they're trying to save the wizard because they need the wizard, and the monk gets taken down by the goblins, and you see the priestess trying to carry the wizard away, and they kill the warrior guy, the only guy in the party. They kill him, and um they brutally rape the females in this party. The only one to survive is the priestess. this scene, I don't think I was ready for this when I read it. It
Right.
was so. It was. I mean, it wasn't like. It was graphic, but it wasn't like hentai graphic. You know,
Yeah.
like you could. I don't know. It made me very uncomfortable to look at it and read it.
Right.
I remember reading it and picking it up, and I was like, "What the fuck did I just get into?" Because it was wrapped in plastic when I got a hold of it. You know.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh my god! Like this is crazy! Like what the fuck?" Because they're like full on like ripping their clothes off, and like you can see like the pain and anguish on like these characters' faces, you know,
Right.
and how like I think I I'm thinking like the mangaka wanted to do it for shock value, like put it right up in your face, you know and kind of be
Right.
like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. This is what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah. How did you feel about it?
Oh man, weird.
It was weird,
Like
right?
like I think I had to go back like when I got to the part where they actually start like doing stuff to the monk. I was
Yeah.
like, is what's going on what I think is going on?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
like
no, most
like
definitely.
usually if anything's going to happen, you usually get a quote unquote ghost penis. But in this, we just kind of get like a looks like a little like ring burst or whatever, something
I don't
like
know
that.
what you want to call it.
Yeah, I
But
mean it's just like a observe here, kind of like everything around it is dark, and then they have a light in one area.
yeah, it's really crazy and really it's really like the tension is really high because the priestess is trying to survive this, and she's trying to get this other party member out, and she gets hit in the back of the head. The wizard ends up dying.
She gets shot in the shoulder with an arrow.
She gets shot in the shoulder. Sorry, yes, she gets
Yeah,
shot in
yeah,
the shoulder, and this is where we see the
yeah.
entrance of our main character.
Because I mean the fighters like ripped to pieces. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Because you find out that the goblins use the women as like breeding to breed more goblins.
which the one thing that trips me up in this is like because I mean obviously Goblin Slayer comes off of a lot of like D&D lore and stuff.
Yeah,
Um, is it's really weird going back and looking at some of this stuff because when you read the synopsis on it or the lore of stuff with goblins, like this is them to a T,
yeah,
but it's kind of weird that nobody has ever thought about that. And it was never brought
yeah,
up until after Goblin Slayer actually came out, where people went back and actually started reading it and were like, "Hey,
yeah. I can see that.
So
But and you know what? Also, I'm thinking of is they automatically kill the guy,
they did
so they have like no real purpose for the guy.
right.
So they don't you find out that the goblins don't swing both ways.
That's true too. But I mean, the other thing is though that we have to think about that, and this is spilling over into year one,
Oh fuck you.
which is the side one. But why Goblin Slayer was never like taken out.
Yeah.
So there's just I don't know what to say about that. Like there's
Yeah.
just got to be something special about him, I guess.
He's just really good at killing goblins.
Right?
But yeah, this is when we get the entrance of our main character, Goblin Slayer. And I have to say, his entrance is fucking cool. Like, he just oozes, like, being, like, a fucking badass.
That's
And he,
true.
systematically, like, takes out all of these goblins.
Right. Well, I mean, we really get that one thing too, um, where the priestess basically like pees herself,
Oh,
and then
yeah, that's true.
in the background you just see this little light start coming towards everybody.
Yeah. And we see the priestess sees that he is a silver adventurer.
Yeah.
And she's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Goblin Slayer. That's how I think he
Right.
talks. He's like, I'm Goblin Slayer.
Right.
But yeah. I
Yeah, I
thought,
mean, I feel like he's blunt. I'm
yeah.
Goblin Slayer, or maybe he says it like almost I'm Goblin Slayer. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, we get this cool fight scene, this cool interaction. He helps out the priestess, pulls the arrow out of her shoulder. That is fucking hardcore right there. Like
Right?
looking at it, like her shoulder and like the pain she's going through, and he's like giving her medicine, and he's like, look, like, she's like, we got to save all these other people. You know, they need our helps, and he's like, look, they are a lost cause because they dip their what was it? They dip their blades or their arrows.
Yeah, they dipped him in poison. So
No, they dip. They make a poison out of their excrement and their like feces.
yeah, and he says that. Well, at one point he says it's a poison herb.
Oh, as well as a poison herb. Yes.
Yeah, and
Like
he
they
said that
combine them all together, I believe.
basically after they stabbed the wizard, like there was no hope for her.
Yeah, and he mercy kills the wizard. The wizard is gone, or one of the characters is gone.
Yeah,
And this is where we get the
two of the
thing
characters are gone.
where he also stabs he stabs a goblin and like soaks a rag or something in blood and like gives it to the priestess to hide her scent,
Yeah,
so she won't like be like tracked by the goblin, which I thought was really smart.
right.
Yeah.
Which is pretty weird that he says that too. Like that their pheromone or their sense of like the female pheromone is so high
Oh yeah,
that
yeah, I
they
know.
can.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just crazy.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. He sets up some traps as well, and she uses her light, or was like a light power.
Yeah, which I like that I like where he goes back and he starts explaining stuff to her.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, it's for us. But I like how he brings up like what you were saying earlier about their little totem, and he's like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, well, that's to distract people because technically there's two tunnels, but if
Yeah.
you pay attention to the little thing, you missed the second one.
Yeah,
That's probably where they were hiding."
he's like, yeah, you missed all these tunnels, and they were hiding in all the tunnels. And
Yeah, that's how they got in behind
yeah,
them.
that's how they got in, And so they kind of blind. So if I remember correctly, they blind the goblins with like her holy light, and
Uh,
he takes out the goblins, and there's a big old hobgoblin in there, and he like tied these two ropes to like these stakes, and he gets the hobgoblin to come over to the priestess, and she uses the light to blind the goblin, which I thought was really cool, a really cool scene. And he like trips over the ropes,
yeah.
which I thought that was really cool. These whole like first 2 or 3 chapters are like just them like killing goblins.
Yeah. Well,
Which is-
after that,
yeah,
the first couple.
Yeah, that's why we're kind of like glossing over this whole thing. They find a couple of the women surviving that the goblins already previously had.
Yeah, we have the monk
Yeah, the monk was there too, I believe. Yeah,
because I think. Hold on, let me see. There's the monk, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 other women.
yeah,
So they have 5 altogether.
yes.
And this party has I guess the big goblin would be the hobgoblin, and then they have a goblin shaman.
Yeah, that's correct. And this other part was pretty crazy as well when they find the secret room filled with the goblin children.
Yeah,
And she's like, because the priestess is like our window into this series, into this world, you know. And she even debates with him like, you can't kill these goblins; they're just children. You can't kill the children,
Right.
He's like, no, we have to kill them because they will grow up and they will come after us.
Right.
and do more damage. So he's like, you gotta like, what's that term they use when they burn all the crops?
Slash and burn or cut and
Slash and
burn.
burn. You gotta cut and burn all the goblins, you know. So he burns these like goblin children alive, which I was like, oh my god, that's fucking
I think
hard.
he just beats them.
No, I think he burns them as well. He like sets them on fire.
Oh, maybe that's afterward.
I think. I mean, he does have a club with him, and he does beat him with the club.
Yeah.
No, you're right. He beats him with the club.
Yeah, you're thinking about where he lights the hobgoblin on fire and kicks him down one of the holes.
I'm thinking of the hobgoblin. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So after that, what happens?
Which I mean, then the other thing we have to worry about too, like they don't mention it yet in this at the beginning, but goblins only need like 2 weeks to become full-grown adults.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the other reason why it's like we have to kill him now.
Yeah. So after he killed all the goblins, what happens after this?
They save all the girls. They're gonna basically they've been so like violated that their minds have been ruined.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually like a service where they get the people, and I think they take them to a monastery to try and help them get over that whole thing. And if there is a goblin that is born, then they take care of it.
Like a rehabilitation type of thing?
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Sort of, yeah. And then we get this scene to where they go back to the tavern, and the priestess decides that she is going to go and adventure with Goblin Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to like become his partner.
She aligns herself with him.
Yeah, true.
Which, I mean, further in the series, guys, like you're going to read this, and there are other creatures that are in it besides goblins.
Yes,
so
there are
don't think that it's always going to be goblins.
It's not. A majority of it is goblins.
That's true.
But usually they fight other things as well.
So, and then we get into what chapter is this? We get into chapter. I don't know what chapter this is.
It's towards the end of the book.
Yeah.
We meet Cowgirl.
Cowgirl.
Can I just say, when Cowgirl shows up, this is such a fan service cheesecake moment. Like you can tell, like the because she's in her bed at the farm that she shares with Goblin Slayer,
right?
And she's in her underwear, her bra and panties, and she wakes up and she opens the door and
she's naked. Okay.
Oh, she's naked. Sorry,
and then she puts them on.
Oh, she's naked. I didn't see that part. She's naked, then she puts them on.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, she is. She is naked. Whoops, I missed that part. She sleeps in the nude.
So here's the other thing, like that you notice that.
Whoa! Here's the thing, though.
How fan servicey this is.
Does she have skid marks on her sheets because she sleeps with no underwear?
Probably not.
I never know.
But here's the thing, though. You know that this is full fan servicey.
Yes.
Because whenever you see her bra and panties and stuff, they are more modern than what they would have had back then at that time.
That is true. They're like tied on, like at the ends.
Yeah, I'm like, those like even fancier than most of the ones that are in stores now.
Which that's one thing that Goblin Slayer, the series, is known for, is like they have really attractive female characters.
Right.
Like this has two things that guys will like: violence and tits.
Oh my god.
I mean, it's true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, continue. Sorry to.
So then they find out that they have to go to town, which we do get this first little thing. Goblin Slayer, when she wakes after Cowgirl wakes up or whatever, that he's fixing the fence, and I swear that Goblin Slayer hardly ever sleeps. I think we actually get to see him sleep like once or gets knocked out.
Yeah, we never really see him sleep.
Yeah, he's always up really early. I mean, I don't know. No, but we do kind of have this whole thing where we're back at the guild hall.
And
we
forgot to mention Cowgirl and Goblin Slayer were from the same town,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
when they're childhood friends,
Yes,
and she was away from town when Goblin Slayer's town got attacked by goblins as a child.
right. She got sent away because they thought there might be an attack.
Yeah, yeah, and so that's how they know each other.
Yeah.
You know.
So we get this little part here, which I find that this is really good. It's an overview thing again, like the goblin thing.
Mm-hmm.
It says, to them prying, dragons, demons, giant eyes with their unhallowed names, which are beholders, of hands of heartless brigands, uh, which I believe are zombies and liches and stuff. Maybe those are copyrighted. Who knows? And when monsters attack a village or the like, the victims come seeking aid, and it is the job of the adventurers to help them. And then it says, and the most numerous monsters of all are goblins.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like they they reference other D&D monsters as well, but I don't think they name them. I don't think they're the same name.
Yeah.
So I know that at one point they fight that beholder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get this really funny interactions with them at the tavern, which I really like. Seeing Tavern Girl and like her interaction with all the other heroes.
Hmm.
And we see like a lot of people really think that Goblin Slayer is like they're like above Goblin Slayer in like the hero or adventurer rank. Like they think they're better than him
Right.
because Goblin work is like the lowest of the low. Like you're like they don't like respect him in any ways, which I think is interesting to think about, you know.
Right.
And because they're like, oh, he just has fights goblins. How tough can he be? You know, turns out he's like one of the toughest guys around. You know,
Right. I don't think we actually find any more of that out until
and so like I think like the next book.
maybe like, well, I think it didn't happen to like book 4 or 5 when they had that big fight that revolves around the farmhouse or whatever, or the city.
That's true. That's true. And then we get more and more about the goblins, and they start telling us more about the goblins and
Yeah, some of the other characters.
some of the other characters we meet, like the Lancer. We find I mean, it kind of just keeps going on and on with this tavern part.
Right.
They're at the tavern for quite some time. Unless you want to elaborate on the whole tavern scenes.
I mean, it's just basically them talking, trying to down Goblin Slayer, and
Yeah.
going from there, or trying to pick up on the innkeeper or whatever she is.
Yeah, it's nothing too exciting.
Yeah.
And then they leave and they go and fight some more goblins, which this one was pretty cool as well. I like seeing them because they go and they meet these other, or they run into these other adventurers and they kind of save them. And I like the fact that he's using Goblin Slayer's using the priestess skills to his advantage.
Yeah.
And she's learned some new tricks or new spells. And this is where we get like the real D&D aspect of it, is the fact that she can only use her spells a certain amount of times during the day, you know.
Right.
She has to rest, and so we get more D&D-esque stuff into this thing. And then the manga kind of just ends with we see this bard singing about the tales of the Goblin Slayer, and how the Goblin Slayer is so good and this and that. And we see this elf, and this elf is looking for Goblin Slayer for some reason. We don't know why. And that's how our book ends, you know?
Yeah.
And there was more to the story, but we're kind of glossing over most of it. You know?
Yeah, we have another party that they're trying to save right now. And
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this is really just action scenes. So it's kind of
yes.
it's kind of hard to.
you'll get like a part where um they're talking about basically like world building,
Yes, a lot of it's
and
world
and
building.
that's not really even huge.
Yeah,
And then you have a bunch of like action fighting scenes.
yeah. It's definitely like it builds up to stuff. We don't really know what exactly it's building up to. Like the only thing we know through from this first volume is that Goblin Slayer's objective is to kill every single goblin alive.
Yeah,
Like that's his quest is to kill every goblin alive. They eventually go into these bigger, more grandiose like quests to save the world.
yeah.
You know,
Which I mean, I think that's another thing that I like is with book one of this one, it does feel like it's one of those first night
is it?
D&D campaigns because
Yeah,
I mean most of the time the first night what you'll do is basically like build your character
yeah,
and then you'll play like a little mission just to get into it. That's kind of what this whole one
yeah.
feels like.
Yeah, it is true, and what later on we'll get more companions and stuff, and we'll have like a full party, and we'll get more development into Goblin Slayer himself. One thing that is a running joke within the manga is that we never see what Goblin Slayer looks like. He always has his
Right.
helmet on. He's very
I
much.
I think the only thing we know is that he's not a fat guy.
He takes his helmet off, I think, one time.
We know that he's not like a fat guy. He's like
Yeah,
a mid. I mean, he looks pretty like skinny and everything,
yeah,
um, and all that, and that he has white hair.
yeah,
That's all we know.
yeah. 'Cause you never see his face. He's very much like the Mandalorian. You never see his face.
Right.
Like you kind of see his face, like the bottom half of his face at one point.
I think there's parts where you see his entire face too, but it's those scenes where he's kind of bent
Yeah,
and his eyes are they don't have eyes on it because he's in shadow and stuff like
yeah,
that. So
yeah. What did you
I
think?
feel like Goblin Slayer is almost on the level with Kakashi from Naruto.
Oh, where you never see his face?
Yeah, where like you never see his face for the longest time, and people are like, "What does he look like under the mask?" You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and they dedicated a whole episode to that about what does he look
yeah.
like, and does he have buck teeth or big lips or
That's true. I
all
remember
this
that.
other
Yeah,
stuff. And I feel like that's kind of the charade with all this stuff with Goblin Slayers.
yeah.
People are like, "What? What is
Don't they
he?
even like
What does
talk
he look?"
about it as well? That he never takes off his helmet.
Yeah,
So I remember at one point he orders like soup or porridge and he just like drinks the through his mask. I think it
yeah,
was. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I like to imagine that that he does it like the Mandalorian, like he just raises it up enough to
yeah.
get it to his lips,
So let me
which,
let me let me ask you this.
right?
Since you reread this book,
Yeah,
has your opinion changed at all versus your first time reading this book?
definitely not.
Mine has. I, as much as I enjoyed like the Goblin Slayer series,
Yeah.
I kind of got bored the second time I was reading this. Like I was rereading it.
Hmm.
I was like, "Come on, let's go! Come on, like, come on, come on!"
Well, I
Like,
really think that the first time you read it with everything happening is it's such a shock,
yeah, no, it definitely is just definitely a shock.
and then that's the thing that happens afterwards. If you revisit it, you're kind of like, oh yeah, I
Yeah,
remember when
I
all
was kind of like,
this. So it's
yeah, I was like, come on, like, let's get into the action.
yeah,
But yeah, like I remember reading this first time reading it, I was shocked to see everything. And the manga is not as dark as this first volume, but it is still covers dark subject matter.
yeah.
But it,
You might, and I feel like as you go, it desensitizes you.
yeah, and I do know that I think from what I remember hearing, the mangaka did get backlash for this first volume, like pretty heavily,
Yeah,
which is crazy to think because there are other manga out there that have covered dark topics like this and don't get as much backlash as Goblin Slayer did. You know,
Right.
it's weird to think about, because like
But
so
I feel like that was his thing though. Like he's
yeah,
kind
like
of
he had to
he's
come
like
out like
ha ha.
he had to come out swinging kind of and shock you. You know,
I mean, I still feel like that's his kind of goal
yeah,
with it. I think like he was true to the lore and everything and put it out, and that it was
yeah.
kind of, are you going to be one of those people that is able to read this or not? Because if you've been playing D and stuff for a while, like you should already know that this is scenarios that could
But
happen.
yeah, this manga is a lot of fun. Even though like I didn't enjoy it as much as last time I read it, it
Yeah.
is fun. It gets better as it goes along. I do feel like occasionally there are pacing issues here and there in this first volume, a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and but like you get more characters, you get to build up these characters you already meet and stuff, and
Well, I like the fact that it also gives you that idea too, like especially if you think about like if this was built around like a D&D campaign or
well,
whatever,
that's my theory.
like what if you had a mission on a board where it was goblins and you left it there and things did happen like this,
Yeah. Well,
because after a 2 week period, depending on how many women they take in, I mean, you could go from having four to
yeah,
being like a little squad of them to having almost a colony. So
yeah. Like my theory for Goblin Slayer is by the end of this manga, we're gonna find out it's just a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
that's true.
I think people are sitting around a table playing Dungeons and Dragons, and and that's how we're gonna end this series.
Oh my god! So bringing that up, what if the four? Well, no, that couldn't be possible. I was gonna say, what if the four or the three people that that were on the mission originally with the priestess, like were the first
Oh yeah,
characters?
like your first rolled characters,
Yeah, for
and
three
only
three of the people playing.
the priestess survived.
Yeah, and then like Goblin Slayer's like the experienced character, like
Oh yeah,
he was getting food, so he was late.
yeah, yeah.
That,
Because
the,
like when I think about it, like I think about like have you ever heard of Record of Lotus War?
yes,
Okay, so do you know about Record of Lotus War? Like what's special about it?
I don't know, maybe.
So Record of Lotus War was an actual like like Dungeons and it was I don't remember if it was Dungeons and Dragons, but it was some tabletop RPG that was played by a group of friends
Mm,
and like an actual game, and their DM took so like detailed notes about their adventurer. He took it and turned it into a light novel. Then it turned into a manga. That turned into an anime series.
yeah.
And then one thing is there. So there's one character in Record of Lotus War named Deedlit, who is
Hmm.
like this hot like elf character, and like a lot of people like simp and like fawn over this character. She was like a lot of people really liked her back in the day,
Yeah.
and they found out that the person who played her in real life was a guy. They got really mad.
That's pretty bad.
It's pretty funny, right?
Yeah. Oh man, what if we found that out? What if Priestess was played by a guy?
Oh man, that would be funny. But yeah, like I like this manga. I think if you're looking to get into Goblin Slayer, just read the main series. I would go into the spin-offs at your own risk.
That's true. The only one that I would point out and say try would be Goblin Slayer 1 because it does give you a lot of backstory into Goblin Slayer and it
Here,
gives you how he learned how he's the Goblin Slayer of today because he makes almost all the same mistakes that people in his first party made.
yeah, year one's not bad, but I don't, it's something that you don't have to read.
Right.
It's very much like supplemental material.
Right.
Then there's like a 2-volume series called New Day, or like Brand New Day, I think it's called, which is an anthology series about other characters within the Goblin Slayer universe. Which that one's not bad. It just
Which
doesn't.
are there only 2 for that? I thought there were
Yeah,
more.
no, there's only two volumes for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, because I read both of them. I was like, oh, this is okay. It's not like the greatest,
Yeah.
It's fine, but I would say stay away from Daikatana, because Daikatana is just horse shit. It's bad.
And there one more too?
No, that's it for right now.
Okay.
Daikatana, Goblin Slayer Daikatana was so bad, I stopped reading all the side stories. I was
my
like,
God.
no more.
No more.
I was like, I'm just gonna read Goblin Slayer. That's all I personally need. I get all my Goblin Slayer goodness in this one series, and yeah, it just I don't. I think you could have told everything in that one series, Goblin Slayer.
Yeah.
My personal opinion.
That's true. For year 1 and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I could have flashbacked it.
I mean, year 1's not bad. It just has pacing issues. After that first volume, it has pacing issues.
They're all going to have pacing issues.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a fun series. Highly recommend it.
I really like in year 1, whenever there's something that we see that he explains to Priestess, and then you're sitting there reading year 1, and you have a part where he says the same thing to himself, and you're
yeah,
like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Didn't I just figure that out?
Yeah, this is fun. It's violent. If you're looking for like a really dark manga or light novel that's fantasy based, this one's not bad. And it's not an isekai. It's just a dark fantasy novel,
This is true.
A lot of people compare this to like Berserk. And a lot of people say it's like
I think
a lot of people were saying, like, when I would talk to people about it, they'd be like, yeah, I only read Goblin Slayer so I can get my Berserk fix until like the next chapter of Berserk comes out. They're like, Goblin Slayer is just Berserk light. And I was like, oh, okay.
Berserk diet.
Berserk diet. But yeah, go check this out. It's a lot of fun. Let us know if you check it out. And tell us what you think of it. If you like to send us a voicemail, you can do so at anchor.fm/otakuology, and you can leave us a review. If you'd like to support our podcast, like, share, and tell your friends, to get our name out there. That's the best way you can help our podcast, other than just listening to the podcast. You can find us on Instagram. I'll leave all the links down below, and we are on all major podcast platforms. We just got onto Audible, which is really, really cool,
Right.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say, Jim?
As always, see you next Tuesday.
Take care, guys.